Let's start only, I think only you both will be there. I'll start the session. So in the last session, we just discussed nothing, only introduction part, right? So now today I'll explain about the futures of Linux, why people are switching to Linux, why technologies are coming with Linux. All the technologies are coming with Linux. Now Linux is key. Technologies are coming with Linux. Basic, if you want to go with uh, cloud computing, DevOps means AWS, Oracle also even. So Linux is basic, shell scripting. Linux is basic now. Even if you have CCNA, Linux. For CCNA security, if you want to plan, CCNA cyber security you want to plan also, Linux is basic there. Right. So why Linux? Why people are switching to Linux? Why technologies are coming with Linux? Means there are some futures. So that we'll discuss now. So first is open source. So Linux is open source. Means source code we get along with the operating system. Operating system is free. No need to pay for the license key. So when you are using Windows, we are paying for the license key. So then only we are getting the registered key, right? That is in Windows. But in Linux, it is not like that. No need to pay. See, if you purchase a new laptop, they are charging extra 2 to 3,000 in order to install Windows operating system because they are charging for the license key. But in Linux, you can download operating system directly and you can install it. No need to pay for the license key. Anyone can download and install genuine operating system. That is the advantage here. And source code we get with write permission. It means if you want, you can edit your source code. You want to change commands, you want to create your own commands, you want to modify the complete view you want to change. That is possible in Linux. You can use your operating system as per your requirement, as per your likes. You can use it, you can modify it because source code we get with write permission. Okay, but if you want to modify the source code means ISO file, if you want to modify means you must know C++ 100%. Then only you can modify it. Generally, we don't do like that. We maintain our operating system, what we get. Okay, but we have that option. That is one thing. And second, multitasking can be possible here. Linux is capable of running multiple applications and process at the same time. Multiple applications we can run. Same feature is there in Windows also. In most of the operating system, we have that feature. Multiple applications we can run at a time. Even now I'm using multiple applications. Zoom is open, VMware is open, Notepad is open, and here PPT is open. Multiple applications we can run. Nowadays, that is possible with most of all the operating system. Here also, that feature is there. Clear this 2 point. Open source means source code we get along with the operating system. So source code is free. It means we can download and install Linux freely. That is one thing. And source code we get with write permission. If you want to modify something, you can do that. You can edit your ISO file. Okay. And multitasking can be possible. Multiple applications we can run at a time. These 2 points are clear. Raghava, clear?
Yes, Madhuri. Yes.
Vipin, clear?
Yes, yes.
So next is multi-users. What is this multi-users? I will explain you. Types of operating system. Any idea? How many types of operating systems are there? Any idea?
Like Windows in the, you mean in the Linux, as I know,
No, generally
in the
I'm
Linux
asking.
there are several
Not in
flavors.
the Linux,
Not
general types of
generally
operating system.
Windows, Linux, and Apple having some other different OS
Actually,
is there.
those are list of operating systems like 95, 98, ME. NT, XP, Windows, Windows 7, Windows 2000, 2003, 2008, 2011, 2012, XP, Vista, Linux, Solaris, Mac, Jetmac, OS by 390. So many operating systems are
Yes,
there.
yes.
These are the list of operating systems.
Okay.
Types. There are 3 types of operating systems we have. Single user, single task operating system. In operating system, we have 3 types. Single user, multitask operating system, multi-user, multitask operating system. So we have 3 types of operating systems. Okay, single user, single task. Here, only one user can log in. That user can perform only one task. Only one user can log in into your computer, and that user also can perform only one task. It means already one application is open. If they want to open another application, that is not possible. That is single user, single task. Example, DOS. Disk operating system. This is the first operating system we have. And this is single user, single task operating system. At a time, only one user can log in, and that user can perform only one task. Is this clear?
Yes, yes, ma'am. Right.
And next is single user multitask. Here also, how many users list it is displaying. Still only one user can log in at a time, and that user can perform multiple tasks. That user can perform multiple tasks, but only one user can log in at a time.
Okay.
So if they logged in as one user and they want to run multiple applications, that is possible. But if they want to log in into another user, means first they log out from one user and they log in into another user. Example, Windows. In Windows, how many users list it is displaying? Still you can click on only one user, right? Once the user is logged in there, if you want to run multiple applications, that is possible. But if you want to run multiple users at a time, that is not possible. So single user, single task. Sorry, single user, multitask, Windows. And next one is multi-user multitasking. Here, multiple users can log in and every user can perform multiple tasks. At a time, multiple users can log in. See, I have a notepad. Here, something I'm doing. Here, another task I'm doing. Here, another tab is open. There, I'm doing something other task. Here, one more tab is open. There, I'm doing something else task. Here, another tab is open and there I'm doing something else task, right? So same like that. Here also, multiple users can log in and every user can perform multiple tasks. Example, Linux. So this is also advantage in Linux. Multiple users can log in and they can perform multiple tasks. Clear these 3 points: single user, single task, single user multitask, and multi-user multitask. Difference is clear?
Yes, Madhuri. Okay.
Done. So, Linux, multi-user, multiple users can log in at a time. Okay. So, and all the points, whatever now I'm explaining as futures of Linux, all the points in further classes I will show you practically also.
Okay.
And next one is portability. Can be installed on all hardware architecture. Linux we can install in all hardware environment. We don't require any specific hardware environment. We can install it in all hardware environment. We don't require specific hardware environment. Like if you go with AIX server, it required IBM architecture. Like that, there are some servers which required specific hardware environment. But Linux is not like that. It works with any hardware environment. Even Windows also works with any hardware environment. Similarly, Linux also works with any hardware environment. We don't require any specific hardware. Also, Linux works with least hardware environment. Means you have uh, 512 MB RAM, but 10 GB hard disk. 512 MB RAM and 10 GB hard disk is there. There also you can install Linux.
Okay.
It works with least hardware environment also. Is that clear?
Yes, yes.
Then. So these 4 points are clear. Open source code we get along with the operating system. It means Linux is free. And multiple users can log in and they can perform multiple tasks. And it can be installed in all hardware architecture. Clear, right?
Yes, yes.
Then. And next, scalability. It means same operating system can be installed on normal desktop PC to supercomputer. We have same operating system. We don't have separate operating system for client and separate operating system for server like Windows. In Windows means we have client operating system separately, server operating system separately. What is client? Client means which request for the services. Server means which provides requested services, right? So in Windows, client operating system is separate, which we use in our laptops and desktop for personal uses, and server operating system is separate. Like client operating systems means 95, 98, XP, Vista, Windows 7, 8, 10, 11. These are for client pieces. Server pieces means NT, 2000, 2003, 2008, 2012, 2016. These are for servers. That is it, Windows. So if you installed client operating system, and there if you want to configure any servers like FTP, DHCP, DNS, something you want to configure, that is not possible in Windows. But coming to Linux, here we have one operating system which we use as a client and server operating system. So it means whatever operating system we are using in real time, to maintain the servers, the same operating system we are using in our laptops just for practical purpose also. So what commands you are learning here? The same commands in real time also we use. So we don't get any confusion. So we can work very easily with Linux machines.
Hello?
Is it point clear?
Yes, yes. Clear, clear.
And reliability means we can trust Linux operating system. Why? Linux is reliable means because large servers has been successfully running without a single second of downtime. No need to restart Linux machines. If you do any changes, you're updating, patches you are updating, something updates you are doing, something modifications you are doing, you are removing hard disk, you're connecting, whatever changes you are doing, you're deleting partitions, you're installing something newly. Whatever we do, no need to restart computer in Linux machine. So no downtime. See, generally if you take Windows machine, so here if you connect something, will restart the computers. If you install anything, it will ask you to restart. Or if you remove something, it will ask you to restart to change effect. Even though sometimes when you are trying to shut down the machine, here you'll get the message in Windows machines means here you'll get the message when you're trying to shut down. When you click here, you'll get the message like updates are ready to install. Select to estimation time is 5 minutes. So select update or restart button. You'll get it. So when you click on update, it will update and after that it will shut down or restart as you selected because it requires that compulsory. Same like that in real time. In servers also, Microsoft people will send the patches. Patches means updates. For Windows machines, Microsoft will send the updates. Whatever new updates are there, that they will send. Every Thursday or Friday, they will send the patches. Okay. Once administrator run that patches, they will restart the servers. Once it is installed, they will restart the servers. So once they restarted the server, it will stop all the applications, backend applications. So once it restarted, they will open again all the applications. Then they will access, clients will access. So meanwhile, if someone is trying to access that applications, they will get the errors. So what admins will do is they'll inform to employees. They'll send the internal mails like 20 minutes downtime, half an hour downtime, 1 hour downtime. They'll send the internal mails to employees. Or they will do it in late nights or afternoon time, lunch breaks. At the time, they will do these things. Do not affect much. But when the system is restarted, if someone is trying to access, they will get the errors. They cannot access. Simple example. If you are trying to do any online transactions, banking transaction like Phone Pay, Google Pay, sometimes you'll get the message like server is down temporarily, because when the main server is restarting, if you are trying to access, you'll get this type of errors. So that problem is there in Windows. But coming to Linux, no need to restart the computer. Without restarting the computer, we can do all the changes in Linux machines. So that's why Linux is reliable. We can trust it. Clear this point?
Yes, yes.
Next, Linux is secure. See, if someone is telling that they are learning Linux, if you ask why Linux means, simple answer they will tell Linux is secure. That's why I'm learning Linux. But why Linux is secure? Because many reasons are there. Why Linux secure means. So we'll see few reasons. So first, inbuilt IP tables. IP table is nothing but firewalls. In Windows, we call firewall. Here, we'll call it as IP tables. Inbuilt IP tables we get. Okay, if you want, you can enable, you can disable. Even in Windows also, you will get the firewalls. There is a firewall option. Default, if you want, you can enable, you can disable it. And SC Linux, Secured Enhanced Linux. IP tables and SC Linux you will get by default. IP tables are used to secure networking files. SC Linux is used to secure local files. So both you will get here by default. So Linux is secure because inbuilt IP tables and SC Linux is there. IP tables are used to secure networking files. SC Linux is used to secure local files. This is one point. Second, Linux is secure because it works with command line interface. You want to create a file, you want to check content of a file, you want to create a folder, whatever we do, we use commands only. So if you know commands, then you can access Linux machine. You can configure something in Linux machine. Without knowing these commands, you cannot do anything. You cannot even log in into computer. So Linux is secure. Those who know commands, they can access Linux machine. But don't think Linux is difficult. It is easy only. No need to remember all the commands. It is not coding. Linux is not coding. Easily you can learn, easily you can understand. You don't know anything coding, zero knowledge is there, or you're not at all interested in coding. No issues because we are not at all going to touch. Don't worry about it. So Linux is secure because inbuilt IP tables and SC Linux is there. Linux is secure because it works with command line interface. Third point, Linux is secure because it doesn't support exe files. No next finish, no auto runs. Many PCs are infecting with virus because of exe files. But Linux is not supporting exe files, so no effect with exe files here. No virus effect. So that is also advantage why Linux means. Okay. Next point, Linux is secure because for every user, password authentication is compulsory. Without password, we cannot log in into user accounts. See, in Windows, when you switch on your computer, if it is showing the usernames, you don't generated the password. You created users, but not generated the password in Windows machine. So if you click on any username, it will allow you to log in into that user. Because password is not there, so it will not ask. But coming to Linux, you created users, but password not generated. Now you are trying to log in into that user. It will ask for the password. You don't have password, you cannot log in into user. So Linux is secure because for every user, password authentication is compulsory, even the normal users. Without password, users cannot log in into computer.
Yes, ma'am.
Is this point clear?
Yes, Madhuri. Clear, clear.
Yeah. One moment. So that's why Linux is secure. For every user, password authentication is compulsory. Okay. And next, Linux is secure because we can encrypt a file. In Linux, we can encrypt a file by assigning password. What is the use of this means? First of all, encryption means what? Converting the data into secure format,
Yes.
which no one
Yes.
can understand. Generally, if I open a notepad in Windows, it is showing in clear text. The content we can see in clear text. Right. Same like that in Linux also, if you create any file and if you check the content of your file, it will display the content in clear text. But assume there is a file with something important data, maybe office details, personal details, account details, passwords, whatever. Okay, you don't want others to see the content of your file. In that scenario, in Linux, okay, after creating the file and adding the content, you can encrypt it by assigning password. Once a file is encrypted by assigning password, if someone else is trying to check the content, it will display the content in encrypted format, means in secure format. So no one can understand it. If someone is trying to enter into the file, open your file. If someone is trying to open your file, it will ask for the password. So without password, no one can check the content of your file. No one can open your file. So it is secure. I'm repeating, we can encrypt a file by assigning password. Once a file is encrypted by assigning password, no one can check the content of your file. So that is also reason why Linux is secure. Okay. And in Linux, there is no setup files. If you want to install any servers, there is no setup files. Everything you get as a configuration file. Okay. Everything you'll get as a file. Like this, we open one file. There we add the entries. Like if you want to share a folder in Windows, what we do? Right click on a folder, sharing and security option you will get. From there, we will share it. Next, finish. But in Linux, we open a file, there we add the entry. This is my location. I want to share this directory from this location to this location. With these people I want to share. Like that, we add the entries. Manually, we add the entry. They only can access the file. You want to configure DNS, DHCP, FTP, everything we configure manually as configuration file. So those who know the configurations, they can configure something. Even you can encrypt that configuration files also. Servers also we can encrypt by assigning password. So without your permission, no one can do any modifications. So that is also reason why Linux means. I'm repeating, Linux is secure because inbuilt IP tables and SC Linux is there. IP tables are used to secure networking files. SC Linux is used to secure local files. Linux is secure because it works with command line interface. So those who know commands, they only can access anything from our computer. Linux is secure because it doesn't support exe files. No next, finish, no auto runs. Linux is secure because for every user, password authentication is compulsory. Okay, so Linux is secure because we can encrypt a file by assigning password. Linux is secure. We can there is no setup
Setup file.
files. Everything will get as a
And
configuration file, and
config.
you can encrypt that configuration file also. Is this clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Now, Linux is performance wise, Linux is fast also comparing to Windows, because in Linux, it works with command line interface. So graphic card work is less here. Processor always it will not reach graphic card because it works with black screen with white fonts. Okay, so that is one reason why Linux is fast. And one more thing is in Linux there is swap memory. In Linux there is a concept of swap memory, which is called virtual memory. Okay, so we create it virtually, logically from hard disk. What is the use of this swap memory? Means it is used to increase the performance of RAM. Let's say, for example, in your computer, 1 GB RAM is there. It means what? At a time, it can send 1 GB data, it can receive 1 GB data. Right. Now, in Linux, while installing the operating system, we can create swap memory. Swap memory means virtual memory we can create. And the size of it is twice the RAM, double of our physical RAM. Now, we have 1 GB RAM, no? So we can create twice, double of the RAM means using 2 GB space. We can create virtual memory and that space we can add to RAM. Now 1 plus 2, how much? 3 GB. Now using 3 GB, your RAM sends the data and receives the data. So performance increases automatically. How to create this swap memory? While installing the operating system, I will show you. In next coming classes, we have separate concept of swap memory also. At the time, again, we'll discuss about it. So performance wise comparing to Windows, Linux is fast because of command line interface and swap memory, virtual memory. We'll see that practically in further classes. And in Linux, there is inbuilt kernel also. There is a inbuilt software in our operating system kernel. So what this kernel do is, see, whenever you are sending something data, it may be Windows machine or Linux machine. Whenever you are giving something input like a plus b, 2 plus 2, 1 plus 1, something input you are giving means first shell receives that input. Okay, so one moment, I will show you that. I'll give one example for that. See, this is Windows machine and this is Linux machine. Now, in Windows, utilities means input, whatever input we give, like a plus b, 2 plus 2, 1 plus 1, whatever it is. When you are giving something input, shell receives that. Shell is an interface between user and hardware. So whenever we give any input, shell converts into computer understanding language, means into standard format, and it transfers the data to hardware. So whatever data we are giving, it will not check the data. Simply it converts into zeros and ones and it transfers to hardware environment. That is the work of shell. Even you connected a pen drive, that pen drive is infected with virus. It converts into zeros and ones and it transfers to hardware environment. Something applications you are downloading. That applications are not supported by your hardware environment. Still, it converts into zeros and ones and it transfers to hardware environment. Because shell work is converting into zeros and ones. Shell work is not checking the data, what you are giving. Right. So that is in Windows. That's why many PCs are infecting with virus also. Because something unnecessary files are downloading automatically. If any virus is coming through any applications or USB, it transfers to hardware. That is in Windows. But coming to Linux, in Linux, if you are giving any input, we give input with commands only right here. So that's why I mentioned like this. It transfers to shell. Here also, shell converts into zeros and ones. And it transfers the data to kernel. Here in Linux, we have kernel, inbuilt software in our operating system. This kernel is an interface between shell and hardware. So when shell converted the data into zeros and ones and transferred to kernel, before transferring the data to hardware environment, first kernel checks the data, whether the data is supported by hardware environment or not. Okay, administrator permission is there or not. It will check everything. If it is supported by hardware environment, then it receives the data. Otherwise, it rejects the data. Something virus is coming inside. Okay, shell converts into zeros and ones and transfers to kernel. First, it checks in hardware. Virus is not required to your hardware environment. It rejects back. Something exe files are coming. Linux doesn't support exe files, so it rejects back. So Linux is free from virus because of this kernel. So this is also advantage of Linux. Why Linux means this is also the reason. So these are the few reasons why Linux means. Is this point clear?
Yes, and yes,
So these
like
are the reasons why Linux, why people are switching to Linux, why technologies are coming with Linux, or why organizations are moving to Linux means these are the reasons, futures of Linux. And these all the futures I will explain practically also in coming classes. Everything I'll show you practically. And if you want to install Linux operating system means this is the basic requirement, minimum hardware requirement. Dual core processor, fine. And RAM, if you are using command line interface, 512 MB RAM is enough. Graphical user interface means 1 GB. And hard disk space, for command line interface 10 GB, for graphical user interface 15 GB. Even you can install graphical user interface with 10 GB space also. Okay, so no issues on it. I'll show it.
okay.
So futures are clear, no? Open source code we get along with the operating system. Operating system is free. Multiple users can log in and they can perform multiple tasks. And it can be installed in all hardware environment. And same operating system we use in normal desktop PC to supercomputer. We don't have separate operating systems. Okay. And we can trust Linux machines because no downtime, no need to restart the computers. And Linux is secure because inbuilt IP tables and SC Linux is there. And it works with command line interface. It doesn't support exe files. Okay, no setup files, everything we configure. So we call them as a configuration files. And for every user, password authentication is compulsory. And we can encrypt a file by assigning passwords. And performance wise, it is faster because it works with command line interface and there is a concept of virtual memory, swap memory, which is used to increase the speed. And free from virus because of Linux kernel. point clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you getting what I'm explaining? Am I going fast?
No. Very much clear.
No.
Yeah. See, not only today or tomorrow, not only in demo sessions, regular classes, I'm telling what I'm telling now is about regular classes. If you have any doubts, you can ask me in classroom itself. You can message me on the chat box, or as I told you, you'll get the link also, Telegram link. So you can message me there also. I'll share the notes now also, whatever I'm explaining. Next, I'll share to your Telegram. Okay. So everyday notes I will give you, no issues on it. And any doubts, make sure you're clarifying the doubts, even in practical sessions also. So this is about today's session. In tomorrow's class, I will explain about file system hierarchy. What are the default directories we get in Linux? Directory means folders. Okay, so what are
Okay.
the default folders we get along with the operating system? That I will explain. And what are the recommended partitions? That are simple point. This also I'll complete tomorrow. If time permits, I'll try to show you OS installation. Otherwise, day after tomorrow, I'll show you.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Raghav, you want to ask anything?
No.
So this is about our today's session. We'll meet tomorrow. Thank you so much for the session.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Vipin, if tomorrow, if two are joined, I will start the session. I'll not wait.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Done. Thank you.